just want to say a few words of thanks. We would be here if not for the hard work and the good offices of my publisher. Please, Jillian and Provost Press, thank you very much, Jillian. And here also is my friend Matteo, who is absolutely the most fabulous juggler, chef, photographer, tour guide, ship's captain, licensed ship's captain. He's also a great neighbor and friend. He took the artist's photo. A dear friend of mine, an old friend that I've known for years, John Hilmer, is the painter behind the wonderful painting on the cover. And of course, Peter and Mike and Jason were kind enough to write wonderful pre-publication comments, which have flattered me to tears and moved me deeply, and I hope will help sales among everything else. So, curiously enough, when I started talking to people, I almost forgot. I'm here tonight in no small way because a few years ago I read at Out Loud, and Aiken and Henrik approached me and said, "Hey, your poems are really good, and we want you to come to this other place where we do readings. Please come to Peel Street," which I didn't know about. And at their urgings, I eventually found my way here and found my way to an incredibly warm, supportive, and encouraging community of writers, which has stimulated my imagination and driven me, given me new reason to work. I write, thank you, Peel Street. Give yourselves a hand. Give yourselves a hand. Everyone who read tonight is an incredible friend and special to me. Cecile is probably the only person here that can hit a curveball and could, probably be better at baseball than me. But anyway, I thank you.
And does laundry often.
Yes. And some of these poems go back years and years and years. And over my life, there have been times when I fully committed myself to poetry, and other times when I got very involved in writing and directing plays and stopped writing poetry altogether. And some of these plays go back 30, 35 years. Of course, they've been revised. You could argue some of them have been revised to their detriment, I suppose. But probably half the book is written in the last 10 years. And curiously enough to me, many people selected some of the older poems. And both Jason and Andy, who'll be up shortly, chose to read the first section of two of the long poems at the end of the book. So in a moment, Jason's going to read the first part of a poem called Semana Santa, which was written in the mid-'80s and has to do with the assassination of Archbishop Oscar Romero in El Salvador. And for those of you who either weren't alive or haven't read the history of that time, the United States was heavily involved with funding the preservation of these right-wing governments that were horribly oppressing their people. And the current ongoing refugee crisis of people fleeing El Salvador and Honduras, desperate to make a new life somewhere, is directly related to this. I'm heartbroken to say that although this poem is 35 years old, it's disturbingly current. So I wanted to say that about the poem, and later I'll say a bit about the long poem Andy's going to read an excerpt from. So Jason, say anything you want to say.
feel privileged to be standing next to you as you give this general introduction to your work. I was very happy when Daniel asked me to write a blurb, because in a way, I feel like I've got to know Daniel as much through his poetry as through drinking with him and sharing stories and learning more about each other's performance-related interests. The thing that struck me about his work is the way in which it mediates between so many different things, the way in which he talks about the rural Wisconsin upbringing, the way in which it mediates between the various landscapes of Central and South America, and the kind of the very simple honesty that you get in many of the poems. I think it's very touching. So one thing that I did when I wrote the blurb was I wanted to package that all in and think about how we can get to somebody who's been writing for so long, and yet give a snapshot of the entire poetic trajectory over the 30 plus years you've been writing. So that's one thing I was very privileged to read and to find out more about. Correct me if I'm wrong, actually the Semana Santa sequence was not in the manuscript until...
Oh, tell her that. It was in the manuscript, and then it was taken out, and then it was back in, and then it was taken out.
Well, I mean, I got the chance. Daniel very kindly sent me these poems to get feedback, and I loved them. I felt that there was a lot of impact in terms of how it makes you think about these political issues. And I think there's also something about the writings of some of the more popular, famous Central American writers like Neruda and Octavio Paz, the commitment to some kind of justice and how you try to represent that poetically. So the fact that you were writing this in the 80s is wonderful. So I'm not going to talk anymore, I'm just going to read the poem. But this is in honor of Archbishop Romero. Palm Sunday. Lay down the palm fronds, the branches. Lay down green vestments stripped from the trees. Lay down greenbacks peeled like leaves from artichokes. Lay down the green lives of young men. Lay down the ripe as well. The Savior, the Savior. El Salvador comes riding on the bodies of its children in a cold, cold wind from the north. It is Palm Sunday and raining on Bainbridge Island. Archbishop Romero is 3 years dead, in Trebo and Altarede, slain in the chapel as he faced his assassins with the wide open eyes of a child, a lamb before a pack of dogs. But not dogs, no. What kind of creatures are these? Did they salivate in the instant before the kill, dreaming of American money and the whores and the liquor it would buy? Was it months in the planning? Or was it his sermon on the radio the day before that set them off? He dared to speak of atrocities. Was it politics as usual that morning? Did they kiss their wives with tender lips that morning? Make love? Did they come? Did they come into the church crossing themselves in nomine patris, under their breath? Were their fingers still moist as they pulled the triggers? March 24, 1980. And Romero at last lay down and was still. Did they look at him then without emotion? The temple of the body to them, no more than rags seeping blood. I say this not to shock you. It gives me no joy to conjure an old priest's ghost. I'd rather make love or read and drink coffee all day long. But every awful drop of cream rides in my cup, the clouds rising in the shape of a dead man's face. Thank you.